Kaieteur Radio, keeping you informed.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Burby's 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.
Good morning. Welcome to this morning's newscast on Kaieteur Radio. I'm Kevin Smith. Guyana's third Extractive Industries Transparency Report has made yet another call for the government to release all mining contracts, especially those dealing with large-scale operations. Since becoming a member of the global body, the report notes that the government agreed to adhere to several requirements. In this case, EITI requirement 2.4a of the 2019 standard states that Guyana should publicly disclose all mineral agreements entered into force prior to the reporting period, in this case 2019. Importantly, the report highlights that the country's Mining Act of 1989 does not include any express restrictions on the public disclosure of mineral agreements and licenses by the government. It goes further to state that even the mineral agreement signed on November 18, 2011 for Aurora Gold Mine developed by Guyana Goldfields is silent about restrictions on the public disclosure of the mineral agreement. Be that as it may, that very agreement, along with many others, is not available online for citizens to understand what concessions were granted to these firms versus what the country would get in return. In other news, U.S. President Joe Biden on Friday slammed ExxonMobil, his country's leading oil producer, for being reluctant to drill more oil fields so that it can benefit from skyrocketing prices for oil and gas as supply shrinks. Biden outrightly stated that the posture of the company was reflective of sheer greed as it sits back and watches inflation rise in country, much to the benefit of its shareholders' pockets. He went on to say that Exxon made more money than God this year. According to a CNBC report, inflation in May rose at levels not seen since early 1980s. Expounding on the inflationary pressures facing his people, Biden blamed Russian President Vladimir Putin and his invasion of Ukraine, which led to shortages in the market and the record-high gasoline prices. He also pinned part of the blame for high fuel costs on Exxon and other oil producers for what he called a failure to increase supply to help reduce prices. And moving on, in its present oil deal with ExxonMobil, Guyana merely receives profit after 75% is withdrawn to cover operational expenses. But one Guyanese professor believes that Guyana could gain more by amending the cost recovery ceiling from 75% to 50%. Dr. Taran Kemraj, who holds a PhD in economics, pointed out that revenue must be split between ExxonMobil and Guyana, leaving the country with a smaller portion of the fraction. He said that because Guyana is already proven its wealth and is no longer new to oil finds, the country should be able to extract better terms. In addition, Dr. Kemraj also pointed out that outside of the contract, Guyana can rake in a lot more money if it pursues the auctioning of its oil blocks correctly. Meanwhile, Esso has pegged its fourth development in the Stabroek Block, namely Yellowtail, as providing the best returns in the industry currently. This was divulged recently by ExxonMobil Guyana partner John Hess. According to Hess, with Eliza 1 and 2 operations already underway, the coming on stream of the third development, Payara, along with the Yellowtail project, will see revenues for Hess increasing by $1 billion per each ship for its 30% interest in the Stabroek Block. To this end, Hess noted that with each new production vessel, it would mean secured revenues telling stakeholders. So it's not just rate of change for this year, it's rate of change in the years ahead. And that's why it's durable cash flow story that is unequaled anywhere in the business. And moving on, instead of the random doling out of cash transfers via its one-off grants to particular groups within the country, local commentators continue to urge the government to take a structured and impactful approach to such an initiative so as to ensure more Guyanese benefit. The government has provided, among other things, one-off payments of $100,000 to disabled children, $150,000 to fishers, $25,000 to riverine communities, and about $1 billion in free fertilizers to be distributed to farmers. While the transfers will support these various groups, concerns remain over the fact that the distributions do not seem to be provided from an equitable standpoint. Political analyst Dr. Henry Jeffrey maintained that any distribution of cash for a purpose, such as the cost of living emergency, must ensure that it reaches every Guyanese, especially those who need it the most. The current mechanism is not serving that purpose, Jeffrey posited. He submitted, therefore, that instead of the random handout, the government could distribute an equitable sum to all Guyanese. And to wrap things up this morning, let's tell you that Home Affairs Minister Robeson Ben on Friday announced that he plans to ban all foreign artists like Skeng, who promote gun violence in their music, from performing publicly in Guyana. Ben made his intentions clear while making a speech at the official launching of the Community Relations Department of the Guyana Police Force, held at its Eve Leary headquarters in Georgetown. Skeng, whose real name is Kevon Douglas, is a Jamaican dancehall artist who performed last month on stage at the National Park during the Guyana Independence Week Carnival celebration. He performed at a show called Baderation, hosted by Hits and Jams Entertainment, and it reportedly ended abruptly after patrons began pulling out handguns and shooting into the air. When the show ended, videos surfaced on social media of multiple persons, being robbed during the show. And that brings us to the end of this morning's newscast. I'm Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on 225-8465 or 226-8210 today.
Are you a Kaieteur newspaper advertiser? Well then, we have great news for you. Kaieteur Radio presents a 50% discount on all radio advertisements only for a limited time. To advertise, contact us on 225-8465 or 226-7455 or email us at kaieteurradioads@gmail.com. You can even visit our office at 24 Saffron Street, Charlestown, Georgetown. Kaieteur Radio, covering you from coast to coast.